We all suffer from sin. We are all naturally selfish. We were born in rebellion against God. Every daily newspaper, every newscast on TV reminds us about sin. Perhaps the most recent is the so-called Islamic State, ISIS, which is notorious for its violence, which has put on the net the beheading of British and American journalists, the beheading of 21 Egyptian Christians. It thrives on violence, and yet sin is insanity. Only purity and love is paradise. The greatest mistake anyone can make is not to be a saint. And by a saint, I do not mean a goody-goody, but someone who has learnt that God is love, and therefore we too must love. ISIS is divided into groups. That's been true of the Muslim society from the 7th century on. Not as many groups as Christians, but there are the Sunnis, over 1 billion. There are the Shiites, 170 million. There are the Sufis, 240 million. But in popular thinking, what characterises the so-called Islamic State is its unending procession of suicide bombers. Every day, one or more members of ISIS suicide, believing they'll go straight to paradise, and there they'll have endless sex with fair virgins forever and ever. They have an unending list of these people, and they all have reasons for what they're doing. They remember that America invaded Iraq by mistake. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They remember that Britain promised the Arabs in the days of Lawrence of Arabia that they would make states for them, they would provide for them, they would care for them, and the British promises were never kept. So there's evil on all sides. ISIS is the most financially rich of all terrorist groups. It robbed the bank in Mosul of $500 million. In recent months, 26,000 people have poured into ISIS from 86 countries. My friends, life around us tells us that sin is the greatest tragedy of the universe. When you read the paper, understand that and avoid sin and cherish love.